If you want some FIFA 23 coins, please check out MMOXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're fast, cheap and reliable, and if you use code Rema, you can get yourself a 5% discount. So what's up guys, my name's Ash and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video guys, we've got my updated 422 custom tactics and player instructions. Let's get right into them. Okay, for custom tactics, on my defensive style I like to use balance. This is because I always like to press when I want to press and drop off when I want to drop off. Having it on balanced allows me to do just that. Some people like using pressure tactics, but I don't, so I just have this on balanced. Now for defensive width, I like to have this on 42 because a lot of people like to attack through the middle, so it keeps a nice narrow defensive shape whilst also having the natural width to block any attacks coming down the wing. So I suggest having it on about 42 because it's very effective in the current state of the game. Now for depth, I have this on 55. Before the patch I had this much higher at like 72, but the reason I've lowered it is because of the change to pace, especially with controlled and explosive players. If you have too much of a high depth now, people will just be able to play the through balls in behind you all the time and it's very difficult to catch them, so it's important to lower that depth. Now for offensive tactics, for build-up play, I like to have this on balanced. Now in the 4-2-3-1 I do have this on fast build-up, but with the 4-2-2-2 I find balance to be much more effective because it keeps your team in a much better shape most of the time. For chance creation, as always guys, I suggest direct passing because it's the only one which gives your players the correct movement when you are attacking. If you look at the diagram in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you can see it's the only one which makes our attackers move dynamically. If we take a look at forward runs, they don't move too much. If you look at possession, they move just not in the correct ways to create chances, and if we look at balance, they are very static, so I always suggest using direct passing. Now for attacking width guys, I like to use 40. This is because the 4-2-2 is obviously a narrow formation, so primarily you want to play narrow with it, but because you have 4 attackers spread out up the pitch, having a lower width doesn't even impact it that much. So I have it on 40 because it's still quite narrow, but you also have an extra bit of width when you do need it. Now for players in box, I like to have this on 7 because in this formation I like to create as many chances as I can, so I like to commit as many men into the box as I can without being punished. I find 6 or 7 to be the best, so I just use 7. For corners and free kicks, this one's down to preference. I just have it on 2 because I like to cross the ball into players of course, but I don't want to get counter-attacked if they do intercept it. Now for players you want to use in the striker position, it's pretty much down to preference. I'm just using Leao and Ronaldo. I just suggest that they have decent work rates for the striker position. Ronaldo is a high-low and Leao is a medium-low. You don't really want them to have like high attacking and defensive work rates because yeah, it will hinder your attacking performance, I've noticed. So you know, as long as your attackers have like a low defensive work rate, you should be fine, I think, but it's pretty much down to preference. Some people like medium, but I don't really. Now for your wide cams, this one is also down to preference, but you want to aim for more technical players if you can, and those players that have a good weak foot, good passing ability, and obviously are very quick. So I've gone with Chiesa and Jota, and although Jota isn't the most technical player, I'm going to show you why I use him with the player instructions. Now for your 2 CDMs, one of them should be a more box-to-box player, so I've got Renato Sanchez, and it's important this player has like a high work rate because again, it's going to help you transition from defense to attack and attack to defense, but again, we'll see this in the player instructions in a moment. Your other CDM should be a more stay-back player, so I've got Patrick Vieira, and it's important these have very good defensive capabilities, preferably like a medium-high work rate, but in my case, Vieira has a medium, but he has the stats to make up for that lack of work rate. For your 2 fullbacks, I suggest having players that are good on the ball opposed to those defensive fullbacks. This is because I think it's important that you need to be able to play it out of the back at times, and having players that are good on the ball will help you a lot more than having those clunky players, because I've noticed when playing with somebody like Kyle Walker, although they're very solid defensively, it can be hard to get an attack going because they're just not that great on the ball. Now for your 2 centre backs, these are down to preference, but I do suggest having those quick meta centre backs as much as possible. I'm just using Varane and Kimpembe at the moment. Now for player instructions guys, on your 2 strikers I suggest having stay central and getting behind. This is because you don't need them to drift off to the wings because you've already got the cams to do that, and the getting behind attacking run setting just means they will make those extra runs. Sometimes if you have them on mixed attack, they're quite static and don't do as much as they should, so getting behind just means you're getting the most out of your players, I've noticed. Now for my right cam, I have basic defensive support, get into the box for cross and free roam. The reason we have them on basic defensive support is because sometimes I've noticed when you have all these players on stay forward, your attackers, there's not much of a transition from defense to attack. So having them on basic defensive support gives you a more natural build-up when you do win the ball, because these players come back a bit deeper and make those runs from deep. So I feel like it's a bit more natural. Get into the box for cross just means they do make better runs. It doesn't mean you always have to cross the ball. It just means they will actually get into the box, so you can make a pass to them if you want to. And I have this right attacking mid on free roam because I like to give this player a bit more freedom. Chiesa is like the most technical player in my team, and I've noticed sometimes this formation can be a bit predictable, so having one player on free roam seems to switch it up a little bit, and I do like that. Now for my left cam, again, basic defensive support, get into the box for cross, and I just leave him on stick to position because yeah, I don't want too many players just roaming about. But again, get into the box for cross just means he will get into the box when we do want him to, when we do want to play the ball to him, and basic defensive support means he does come back. Now the reason I use Jota in this left cam position is because he has a high work rate, which means he's going to be able to join the attack and then come back to defense like perfectly. Like, he transitions very well, and that's why we use him even though he's not the most technical of players. Now for your more defensive CDM, I just have him on stay back while attacking and cover center. This is because obviously I don't want him to go forward because he's not that kind of player, and we want him to cover the center because we need him to cover the middle of the pitch, because that's where a lot of people play FIFA 23. They don't really go down the wings as much, so it's important you cover that central area. I sometimes see people using cut passing lanes, but I'm kind of like on and off with it. I like having him on balanced defense because I like him to do a bit of everything. I don't like to limit his AI as much as possible. And yeah, for my right CDM, this is the more box-to-box player. I just have him on cover center because I don't want him to stay back while attacking. Like I said, he's a box-to-box player. He's going to help us move from defense to attack, and obviously the high work rate means when we do lose the ball, he's going to run back to defend very quickly. So that's why I say the high work rate is very important. Now for my left back, I just leave him alone because I don't want him to sit back all the time. I actually enjoy attacking with my fullbacks. They give me a lot of extra attacking options, which is why I use more technically able players in these positions. Having him on balanced attack means he can contribute and add to the width if we need him to, but he doesn't always overcommit, which is great. Now for my right back, I actually have him on stay back while attacking. This isn't because I don't want to attack with him. It just means we always have at least 3 defenders back, and obviously 1 CDM. So it just adds like basic defensive support, which is important in any formation. And if I do want to attack with this guy, I can literally just trigger a run with L1 or use the D-pad tactics to send him forward. But yeah, they are my custom tactics and player instructions for the 4-2-2. If you guys have found this video useful or informative, I'd very much appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you are new so you never miss out on any videos like this one. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you are notified when a video is posted. And with all that aside, guys, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will catch you all later. Peace.